We're streaming, baby.
We are.
Hi, Facebook. Hello to the replay viewers.
Just trying to find it now on my page. There it is.
Yeah, go ahead. Hi, Facebook. Hello to the replay viewers.
Hello, everyone. Find it now on my page. There it is. Okay. So we'll just wait for some people to. Hello, someone's there already. That's lovely. Hello, everyone. Okay.
I love how it's like you're in a control room. And it's like you got this, then you got your thing up there, and Lord knows whatever else.
All right, I've turned it off on my computer, so hopefully we won't have any of that feedback going on.
Okay.
So who have we got with us?
Oh yeah, it still says live on Facebook, so very good. All right, good.
So we have one viewer, Hoops. You can come and join us if you like.
Hello to the one viewer.
Hello, Hoops.
Is that the person's name?
That's what it says on the viewers list.
Hi, Hoops. Do we want to like wait a minute to build an audience?
Yeah, let's wait and see, and then we'll just.
So if you're watching this as a replay, it might be a good idea to fast forward about a minute or so.
Yeah. Oh, there we are.
Which is how I expect most people will watch this as a replay. We're here to talk about more than enough money, cultivating a mind of more than enough money.
And I would like to introduce you all to the amazing Naima Singletary, who I met in Albania. And the reason we're doing this interview is because I saw her speak. We were there speaking together on panel, and when Naima spoke, she really spoke from her truth. And as you guys know, who know me, that is what I am all about. And yeah, there's no holding back with Naima. When she is impassioned, it comes through, and I could tell how much she wants to help, specifically female entrepreneurs, really get into owning who they are so that they can charge what they're worth. And if you have challenges around that, do ask questions. If you're watching this on a recording, feel free to post questions and maybe we'll answer them later.
Good idea.
Great. Yeah, so I'll collate over the next couple of days and then send them to Naima to get some responses. And you know, it's all about owning yourself is what I got from what Naima says, and I'm sure you'll elaborate on that. And really knowing that it's okay to charge what you're worth and to be in your genius and helping other people. And a lot of female entrepreneurs have a challenge around, what if I'm not helping, or if I charge that much, I won't be able to help all the people who can't afford me. So we're going to be dealing with all of that stuff and more. So Naima, gorgeous, wonderful woman that you are. Yeah, more than enough money. So what inspired you to know that this is your true passion?
Yes, good question. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of this with me, Judith. I really appreciate it. When I laid eyes on you, like I said, it was, just that thing of her. I want to know her. So thank you. This is awesome to be here with you, considering how it all started. So, we always teach what we need to know, right? Whatever the thing is that we're spearheading and leading, typically it's been a part of our story. And so a big part of my story for all of my adult life, up until I got it together, I had this story running and I didn't even know. It was in the background. Like all of us have background stories from how we were raised. And my background story was other people can have what they want, but I, Naima, cannot have what I want. And I picked that up at 9, 10 years old and didn't even know it until I started bumping up against this money drama, not having enough, lying to people when people would invite me somewhere and I'd be like, oh, I already have plans, when the truth was I couldn't afford to go to the thing that they invited me to.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting to go to seminars and travel and do certain things, and my reason was always I can't afford it. And there's an exercise. First of all, I wasn't even aware that there was such thing as a money coach.
Right.
And when this woman, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When I was like, you have to understand, I've been on this path for years of really releasing crap about money and scarcity and can't have and wanting and never having and all that, and really coming into a place of power and more than enough around not even just money, but everything and anything that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And this money coach had me go through this exercise, the same exercise I'm going to teach everyone who comes to our More Than Enough Money event in London, August 8th.
Cool.
I did this exercise and I cried because it literally brought it's like this invisible story, right? Which, like, who even thinks about that? Like, when you are constantly in a place of can't afford, who even thinks like, oh, because I have a money story of scarcity and that's why I'm not making the money. Let me go fix this. No, we just think, I can't afford it. Like, we really think that's the valid reason. And then we think we have to work hard. Like, that's what I used to think. All I have to do is go work harder, go start another business or go whatever. And it wasn't that. And so I want to help women uncover the story, because there's a lot of universal fears around money, right? People are going to be greedy. That used to be mine. People are going to think I'm greedy. No one's going to pay that. I won't be able to help people. Like, there's all these universal stories. But then there's a very personal story that's often going on back there, and it's invisible. Sometimes it's tied to your parents argued with money and it just seemed like a big dramatic thing and you just don't even want to be bothered. Maybe it's because your dad told you that women who, maybe he didn't say it, but he did something that indirectly told you that women who are in power and have money can never find a husband. Maybe it's because you picked up some message from your church or your sister or your brother or somebody that told you that women who have money don't really care about people. Because how would you possibly care about people and have money at the same time? What concept? And so when I did that exercise, along with a whole bunch of other stuff, I'm not even saying that was the Holy Grail. I'm saying that was one of many things that I did over the course of primarily the last 4 years that really helped me to get that the stories that we have from the past control us today if we don't address it. And two, the transform, just like, here's the slogan. I saw this on a billboard. I'm from San Francisco, born and raised. I was driving across the Bay Bridge. This was like 10 years ago in San Francisco. Driving across the Bay Bridge. This is the bridge that you have to cross to get from San Francisco to Oakland. It goes over the water, right?
It's absolutely beautiful. I've been there.
Right? So I'm crossing the bridge, and as you're crossing the bridge, there's billboards everywhere. I was like Coca-Cola, financial services, cars. Apple always has billboards at the bridge. And I remember there was this financial services billboard, and I remember this today like it just happened, because I remember it struck me as so true. It was so simple, so true. And it was a billboard, and all it said was, money in the bank changes everything. That's it. I saw this 10 years ago, Judith, 10 years ago. Money in the bank changes everything. And so when I got really good about following desire, which is huge, it has so much power in it, transforming my scarcity around money, and then started to have the things that I always wanted, but would tell myself I can't afford it. And actually felt very right around that. Like, I felt very like, it's true. You don't understand. I really cannot afford it. Like, I felt very right around that. And I see a lot of women feeling very right around, no, I can't afford it. You don't understand. I've been working hard. I have to pay this. I have the, and when I got dropped all those stories and started to allow myself to have the things that I wanted and saw the woman that I became in the process. I gave more, I was happier, I was able to hold other women in their transformation around money. Doing all of these things deepened into me, and then just having this history with all this drama around money and transformative. And I've seen too many of my clients go from talking to me saying they can't afford it, they don't know how they're going to go to, and then doing things like one of my clients, when she came to me, she couldn't even afford the deposit for us to start. Within 4 months, she went and spent 6 weeks in Maui, spent like 2 weeks in Los Angeles, and she's from Germany, by the way. Okay, so
Right.
she flew, right?
Yeah.
Ended up going to Awesomeness Fest, which is a very, what you might call, expensive festival. It costs $3,000 just to get in. Okay, that doesn't include flight, hotel, everything else.
Yeah.
And seeing so many clients of mine like her have these transformations and see what a woman becomes when she is in possession of large amounts of money, game changer.
Okay. So clearly you're super, super, super passionate about this. And so Naima, when you, as you mentioned, lots of people with challenges around money, what would be your number one piece of advice? So say someone is watching, and by the way, if you are, so Hoobs, who is logged in, if you have a question, then go to the chat button, because I can see you, I can bring up your questions and ask there. And if you're watching this on Facebook, then do ask your questions there. So Naima, what would your number one piece of advice be for a woman, because you're dealing with women primarily at the moment,
Women entrepreneurs
who is in their business but is struggling, and maybe is just saying, yeah, but that's how it is. What would your number one piece of advice be to them to help them take the first step forward?
First of all, that hurts me, what you just said about that's just the way it is. And I doubt any woman who actually believes that will be here, right?
Okay.
She thinks that's just the way it is, so she's not going to be looking for a solution. At least that's what my mind is saying. So my first piece of advice, if you're in London or very near to London or within a short flight to London, or shit, even if you're in California, my first piece of advice is come to the More Than Enough Money event in London on August 8th. That's my first piece of advice. And Judith, you're going to put the link with this video, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's my first piece of advice. And the reason why I'm saying that's the first piece of advice is because we're going to be done here in like 45 minutes. This is it here.
But we want people to get, as you said it yourself, you want this to be like full of content. So, give this first little thing for people to.
I will.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you want more than what you're going to get in this hour here with us, because the event in London is 4 hours.
Yeah. And it's intimate as well. I just want to say that this is for 30 people only, which is lovely, because then you'll get a really personal experience.
And it's in person.
Yeah.
There's a transformation that happens in person that doesn't necessarily happen on the internet like we are here, okay? So that's my first piece of advice. Come to London August 8th. My second piece of advice is, and you really have to get this is totally a mindset shift. This is not a doing thing. It's partially, but it's a mindset shift before you do. You have to recognize that money is if your current reality is struggle and you're looking to create a new reality around money, this has to shift.
Mm-hmm.
It's not go work harder. It's not, let me go get a website. It's not, let me go speak. Let me go, like all those things. Yeah, you want to do those things. But if you're still in a place of scarcity and I can't afford it, and this is greedy, wrong, and bad, you're not going to make the money. Let me give you an example. I have a client right now who you guys are going to meet. I may even put her on the stage because she's going to be at the event in London August 8th. She and I just started working together maybe 3 weeks ago. This is a woman who's never made 5,000 pounds in 1 month in her business. Okay?
Yeah.
We had her first coaching call, I want to say 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
She messaged me, was it either yesterday or the day before yesterday, to tell me that she has made 5,000 pounds in her business. We actually had a call today because her real goal is 8,000 pounds in 1 month. Okay. And she's like, when you break through a financial wall for the first time, there's like this, whoa, fuck kind of thing that happens. Okay. And she's experiencing that. And she has coaching. So she's not going to revert or sabotage. And so she contacted me because she wanted an emergency call. That's included in her package. And I brought her back to the mind. And I have her reading a book called Working with the Law, which is what I recommend everybody read. It's called Working with the Law by Raymond Hollywell.
Great.
Working with the Law by Raymond Hollywell. And I asked her, I said, are you reading the book every day for 30 minutes a day? I have her reading it for 30 days straight for 30 minutes a day. She's like, I am so reading it. And the more I'm reading it, I'm realizing how many lies have been controlling my mind. And she has, in 5 days, because she started this process that we discussed in our first coaching call. In 5 days, she made 5,000 pounds in her business.
Right.
This is a woman who had never made 5,000 pounds in her business. And so I had to keep telling her, it's in your mind, it's in your mind. She's like, she was selling a package for, I think it was 2,500 pounds. And she was like, I don't have any more clients, 2,500. I said, do you realize how much of a scarcity thing that is for you to even be thinking that? Like, that is a scarcity thing right there.
So dealing with mindset, shifting your perception.
Yeah, so it's mindset. It's identity, meaning how do you see yourself? When nobody's looking and you're at home and you're in your pajamas, no makeup, sloppy on the couch, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as someone worthy of receiving 2,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds for your services? Because the women I work with are selling services.
Yeah.
Most of them, 99% of them are selling services. Okay.
Yeah. Do
you see yourself at, on the phone collecting credit card payment from a client in one lump sum of $5,000 or whatever the dollar amount is that you want to receive?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's mindset and it's identity, and it's also being deeply connected to desire. So there is not one piece of advice. Like if I had to say one, I would say get your mind right by reading wealth consciousness books. So I'll recommend 2 more. Working with the Law, I already said, and then The Science of Getting Rich and Think and Grow Rich. Now, about 50% of the people who I talk to say, oh yeah, I've read that, and they kind of dismiss it. You have to read like your life depends on it. You don't read it in some casual, right before you fall asleep kind of way. You don't read it when you just have some extra time at the doctor's office or because you don't have anything else to do. You need to read it the same way you shower. This is assuming that you shower every day. Okay. So you have to read it and apply it like your life depends on it, because it does.
Yeah.
And I want people to know, a lot of people see me and I'm beautiful, I'm powerful, I'm in more than enough money, right? Successful, living here in Paris. 4 years ago, I had $7 to my name and I was sleeping on my mother's couch.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to the bottom of this shit. Okay. So I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. And I know what it takes to go from $2, $3, $4, $7 fucking dollars, feeling smart and competent. Like that's the worst, to feel like you're smart and competent, but you're on your mother's couch and you can't, right? And you're like, what am I doing with my life? Okay. So I know what it takes from a place of bottom, the mind, the actions, the self-talk, the community. And this is why I'm saying come to the event if you can, because there's so much that happens in the community, in the flesh, us being able to really impress into you over 4 hours versus this virtual thing happening in just an hour.
Cool. So we have a question from Hoops, which is lovely because it kind of relates to this. Oh, you're right there. And Hoops is saying, so how do you deal with the belief that whatever business or market you're in is crowded? So for example, I know you deal with entrepreneurs and I deal with a lot of coaches, and there's a lot of overcrowding in the coaching arena, or there's a perception that it's overcrowded. And I don't know what Hoops does, but so the question is, how do you deal with the belief that whatever business or market you're in is crowded? So I know I can offer something unique, but how do I justify charging X amount? And Hoobs was specifically thinking in terms of a creative product or service where the value is subjective rather than intrinsic. So it's, you know, I don't know what creative value it is, but let's say it's an artist, and there's a million artists out there. How do you deal with the belief about that business or market being crowded, and how do you justify charging X amount?
Got it. So I'll deal with the crowded part first, because there are a nice number of people saying that in the coaching industry right now. Oh, it's saturated, blah, blah, blah. So let's get down to the facts, okay? Let's get out of the emotions, which you're not going to build a successful business being in your emotions and letting that dictate things. First of all, coaching is the second fastest growing industry. So this person is in an artistic space. So
I think so, yes. So creative product or service.
Doesn't immediately apply the statistic that I'm sharing, okay?
Yeah.
But another piece will. So first of all, as far as coaching is concerned, it's the second fastest growing industry right now behind technology. It ain't going nowhere. Saturation, like that's not happening because it's just so large and it's global, first of all. Second of all, Facebook alone, there's over 2 billion logons a day. Okay? So you pick your price point. You want to be low end, middle, high, right? That's your choice. Regarding the second part of the question, which was how do I validate my price, right? Was that?
Yeah, so creative product or service where the value is subjective, so it's down to the individual, rather than intrinsic. So everyone can see the painting behind me. There we are. Which is something I did in half an hour on a workshop in France. And yet my admin assistant, when she came the other day, I was like, oh my God, that painting's amazing. How much did you pay for that? And it's like, I created it.
Yeah.
So it's that the creative product, the value is subjective. It depends on the individual rather than, you know, I suppose rather than a coaching product where you can go, at the end of this, I know I will be at this point in my life, so I can go for that promotion and earn X money.
And that's subjective, perhaps. So let me say this, and this is relevant to both the creative space and the coaching industry. And coaching is very creative, by the way, marketing, that is. So this is what I have to say to Hoops. I think that's the name, Hoops.
Hoobs, yeah.
Hoops is, even in art, coaching, all that, it's still subjective. I have a package that's $100,000. I sell a package that's $100,000. The person who's buying that has to see what is in that package is valuable enough to pay that. That's subjective.
Yeah.
Another person will look at that and say, are you out of your mind? That's subjective. You see?
Yeah.
The only thing I have control over is how I see the price.
Yeah.
How I feel about the price, how I articulate the value of the transformation that I bring to the market. So as an artist, this is assuming that the person asking the question is an artist, right?
Yeah.
A painter, a musician, a ceramic creator, right? You decide the value in your own heart, in your own belief system, in your own desire. You put it out there, and other people who value it the same way will pay it. There will be people who will say, let's say he creates ceramic bowls for a living. And let's say that the story behind him creating an expert ceramic mug maker is that his mom started making mugs when she was 6 because the family lived in some remote part of town where they couldn't find mugs and there was no internet, and there's a special connection with mugs and the process of making them, and he feels a connection, right? And there's this whole story behind it, and he uses a special kind of clay and all this, right? This is a part of the experience. This is a part of the story. This is a part of the creation. The person, the buyer reading that, who resonates with that, who values that, etc., is going to pay the money for that. whether it's a $5 ceramic mug or $500 ceramic mug. It's subjective. It always will be. So the person asking this question has to decide what he or she, I'm assuming it's a man, what he or she wants to charge, and then really get behind it. And you get behind it by doing this wealth consciousness work that I've been talking about during our time here today. Reading the books, coming to the event, hiring a coach. And there's some other things too that I'm happy to share.
Cool. So hopefully that's answered your question, Hoobs. If you have anything else from that, then do type it. And we've got a couple of other people live on Facebook. I can't see who you are because it's not showing me that. So do post comments and I will see them and we can answer the questions. So yeah, I completely get that artistic value as both as an artist, as an actor and writer, and as a coach. And I had a huge mindset thing. The first time I charged £350 for a 1 hour session, when I said it on the phone, it's like, how much do you charge? I was like, £350 an hour? Okay. Wow, that was easy. So yeah, I completely get that when you value yourself, then your value goes up. And it's if you listen to other people, oh, who's gonna pay that for that? When we start listening to other people. So, and which is part of the...
what we have to do is we have to impress it. I want to make very clear to everyone watching right now that this is a lifestyle practice. This is not something you just read a book and voila, you're set. This is not just a retreat. This is your life. Like, for the rest of your life, if you plan to live a big life, if you plan to do big things in the world, if you plan to be able to, for the rest of your life, have the money you want, this is a lifestyle practice. I remember the first time I made $65,000 in a month, it took me 4 months to get there. Like 4 months of focus, of not giving up, because so many times before that, I would give up. I'd be like, well, maybe I'm asking for too much. What am I going to do? Well, maybe now's not the time. Like, that's all mindset. Yeah. And then when I said I'm doing this, and then about halfway through, and then I saw my mind trying to take me out the game again, saying the same old things. I was like, no, I am going. I am not giving up on myself again. Like, this is a lifestyle practice every day, every day, every day. So know that, lifestyle practice.
Implementation is key, right? We can read as much as we like. We can go to as many workshops as we want. But if we don't implement at the end of the day, we don't get anything. And I'm on this journey too, you know, especially around money.
Me too, honey. There's no perfection.
So it was really great because when you were talking before about people who maybe are thinking, I can't afford it. So me, the entrepreneur, I can't afford the website. I can't afford to have that coach that I want. I can't afford to have the other you were talking about earlier. What about the entrepreneurs or whoever, whatever arena that we may be in? So be you an artist or a coach or a accountant or whatever the spectrum of entrepreneurship is that your genius is. What if they are cool? They're like, well, actually, I've got the money. I can afford it. What is your advice for people who are thinking, well, I'm all right, you know, I get by, I have just enough, because I want to serve the people who don't have much money. Don't they deserve my service too?
So first of all, if you feel like you have I think we probably should shift this question, because cool. I think you did two different things. Because on the one hand, you said if a person feels like I have enough, then...
Yeah, but they're the whole just enough. So we're talking about having more than enough. Right. So if someone's like, I'm getting by, but because I want to serve those people who I think just, you know, they can't afford it. Okay. And I want to be able to serve the people who can't afford £5,000 for a 90-day program. Okay. What do you have to say about that? Because I think that's another side of a similar mindset.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So in that context, where they actually do want to make more, but that belief system is having them not making more. First of all, there is a such thing as multiple packages.
Okay.
First of all, okay. So you can have the package that caters to what you might consider affordable. And then you have your middle and your higher. Or you could have two, like it's your choice. I was talking to my client today, like, do you recognize you can create whatever package you want? Just look at the transformation you want to bring to your clients and create packages based on that. So if this is the story where somebody wants to make more, but they're like, but what about these people? Have a package for those people and then have a higher end package. Every top-notch coach knows that there's always a small percentage of people who only want to work high level. Like there are people in your network, prospective clients, who will never buy a Honda. I don't know if Honda is a car in the UK, is it?
Yeah, cars and motorbikes.
Okay, so there are people in the world who will never buy a Honda. Like those are your prospective clients. They will never buy a Honda. It could be brand new with all the fixings and they will never buy it because they only sit on the high-end spectrum. And then there are people who will never buy a Jaguar. Never. Because I'm not paying that kind of money for a car. That's my sister. My sister would, I don't want to say never, but she's not inclined to buy a Bentley. Me, on the other hand, it's been my dream car forever. Like I will happily buy a Bentley or a Maserati. Okay? She's totally fine with a Camry, Toyota Camry. You know what a Toyota Camry is, right?
I do. I'm trying to think of what it is, what we call it in England, but I can't. It's gone out of my head. But yes.
So that's the same way with your clients. Have a package that you consider your high-end package for your 1% who will never, ever buy. Like to them, buying a low, even you think, oh, it's less, so people will buy it. The people who are like me, I would never buy a cheap package from a coach. Like the cheaper she is, the less likely I will buy from her. Because your price is your announcement to the world of how much you believe in yourself. Can you repeat that? I want to know that you got that.
So is everyone out there, your price is your mirror to the world?
Your announcement to the world.
Your announcement to the world of how much you value yourself.
And your services, exactly. So if you are charging some, I don't know, 50 pounds, 100 pounds an hour, you'll be looked at like that. You charge 500 pounds an hour, which by the way, I don't recommend charging by the hour. I recommend packages, right? But so let's say you somebody who has a package for 500 pounds, and then you have another person with a package for 5,000 pounds. You're announcing to the world what you value, how much you value what you offer by sharing that price with people. So be careful.
And so I'm not quite sure who's joined us live on Facebook because I can't see any names. So if you can announce yourself in the comments, or if you like something, hit the like so that we know you're there.
Or if you have a question, I'm happy to answer your question. Like, I want everyone watching right now, even folks who are going to watch this as a replay, to know you could literally have a breakthrough right here, right now. So if you are bumping up against some kind of financial wall right now, if you are frustrated, if you are in isolation, like I know a lot of women are, where you're struggling and only you know, you could break through something right now. So I'm happy to answer your questions.
Okay. So Hoops says, which is, I have a feeling I'm going to know your response to this because I already know my change response to this. Hoops says, what about bartering?
Says what?
What about bartering? So I've got a service or a product, you've got a service or a product. Where do you stand on bartering?
So my first response to that is we all have choice. So I want people to know you can do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. I want you to know that you're communicating something, even if you don't say it verbally, you're communicating something when you choose to do the barter thing. Because think about this. Let's say you met someone who was bartering Let's say you knew two different people who had the thing that you wanted, right? One person was willing to barter for it, and the other person was charging 500 pounds for it. Which one do you honestly think you would value more? And how much would you respect the person who's bartering versus the person who's charging? When you barter, particularly when you know you have money drama and you know you actually want money, but you are not charging because you're afraid of whatever and you got money fears and worries and all that, and you're only bartering because you're afraid to get serious with the money, you're communicating a huge message to everybody and to the universe that I'm afraid of money, I don't value myself, and I'm not open to receiving money. So me personally, I'm not in agreement with bartering. If you want to build a thriving business, do not barter. If you want to change the world and use money to do it, don't barter.
So we don't know what Hoobs does, but say Hoobs is an artist and created something fabulous like my painting that I created in half an hour. But Hoobs is starting out at the beginning of their entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So money is statistically and fiscally tight for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be, and I don't know where you are, Hoobs, in your journey, so you can correct me, may have to process to find its usefulness. Okay, cool. So they're saying, is it all about the money or is it worth trading off services? So for me, what I'm getting from what you said and the tone and what I believe, so hopefully this is helpful for you, Hoobs. If you did that painting in half an hour, but that painting took you your whole lifetime of skill and experience to create, and you value that painting at £10,000, but what you want is a coach with an amazing package to help you advance your career or brand yourself or market yourself or whatever it is you're looking for, and they're charging £10,000 for their package. If you value that painting at £10,000 and they're willing to barter that painting for their £10,000 worth of services, would you, Naima, say that was then worth bartering?
No.
Okay.
Money is currency. There's an energy to money.
Here we are. Sorry, Hoobs has just added, a gallery might do a deal that includes greater exposure. So this for me is a great one for me. Yeah, you're shaking your head. Hoobs, I don't know where you are in your journey, and as I'm guessing you are some kind of physical artist. As an actor, I made a choice a few years ago to not do any more fringe shows for exposure, because I after 16 years as a professional actor, or 13 years into it, I gave up after 10 years. Like, right, I'm not doing any more unpaid work. So the reason actors do unpaid work, the same as artists maybe, oh, but if I do this and then someone might see it and they might. And I stopped. I drew a line under doing any more unpaid work unless it was a project that I had an intrinsic joy in and I was doing it purely for my artistic satisfaction.
Yeah.
Because to do it for exposure was killing me. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't know where you are on your journey, Hoobs. So like Naima said, it's a choice. And who are you going to be exposed to? Can they 100% guarantee it? Yeah.
And remember, I'm here to help women who want to transform their relationship with money. So
yeah.
I'm really speaking to the woman who is tired of struggling, who knows that what she brings is valuable, who is constantly not having what she wants, and the primary reason is because of money. Like, this is who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
You see? So perhaps Hoops is in a place where, doesn't, if you don't care about money, if you are like, well, this is enough, then this is probably not for you. I'm really talking to the woman who was like me 4 years ago, who was dying to like travel to the south of France, but I can't afford it. Who only shopped on the sale rack, who like literally go in a store and walk straight to the sale rack because I was so conditioned that, I can't afford all the full price merchandise that I love. Let me go settle for this second class, third class merchandise that has been run through for the last 2 months that's been all over the floor, that is the leftover stuff because I can't afford to actually, like that kind of stuff, who wanted to hire coaches who were at 10,000, 20,000, but oh, I can't afford. Like, I'm talking to that woman who is sick and tired of telling her kids, oh, baby, we can't afford that, or lying to her kids to say we can't do this, we can't do that because we can't afford it, who's living in an apartment that she hates, who tolerates a car that's dirty and old and all that because she can't afford. Like, that's who I'm talking to. The woman who really wants to make a difference in the world and needs money to do that and to live well.
And to start valuing yourself. Like, I know I'm still on a journey with my money thing, but I know when they made that change to value myself, that's really key. So it's like, actually, I want to work with a gallery. If I was you, I want to work with a gallery who values me,
yeah,
and the same that I and my products the same as I value myself.
mm-hmm.
So, you know, a gallery or whatever. My gallery is my coaching clients.
Mm-hmm.
My gallery is those who want to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it is different in some worlds. Some worlds, it's you display here and whatever you sell, we get X percentage of. That's fine. But then charging you to display your wares is then a negative equity.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't, like, my gallery as a coach now, as a vocal confidence coach, like you're saying, is this is how I value myself. These are the packages. If you believe you don't have a lot of money, you can come to the workshop. If you do, you can pay £5,000 for a day.
Mm-hmm.
There's your choice. There's the value.
If you value the depth of that transformation, then they'll pay that. You know, if they want to have the undivided attention, if they value themselves enough to have that undivided attention from you, Judith, and to be in a room with you or wherever you guys are going to be, and to be able to have that exclusive attention to dive deep into their vocal confidence, their desires, their heart, and to leave that place changed versus trying to run around the internet or run around London trying to go to little $20 workshops and get crumbs. Like, I look at that as, you know, after so much, you know, you can do that for a little bit, but when you're really ready to up the ante and transform your life, you got to invest.
And I think that goes for everyone, whether you're an artist, whether you're an accountant, whether you are a doctor, if you are, there's a lot of mindset in the holistic world, massage and healing. There's a lot of, oh, I can't charge more than £35 an hour. There's a lot of that. So everything, actually, Hoobs, thank you, is subjective. Because when you asked that thing about being subjective, Hoobs, I've just realized I wouldn't pay you tuppence halfpenny for Tracy Emin's bed. If someone paid millions for it.
Ah, you see that?
And so everything is subjective.
Yes.
Someone will pay me £5,000 to spend a day with me to change their connection to themselves, to rediscover their voice. Someone else will go, that's not worth it.
Yeah.
So everything is subjective.
Yeah. It makes me think of, I was listening to Tony Robbins. I'm imagine you know, and most people listening know who Tony Robbins is. He was being interviewed. I can't remember who, but he was being interviewed, and I was listening to the interview, and he was talking about the same topic of subjectivity. And one of his friends told him to come over his house to come look at some painting he just got and for them to catch up on some things. And he said he went to this friend's house, and he said the way the friend was talking about the painting, he was just expecting to see something that was just like, whoa, and, you know, like otherworldly. And he said he got to this friend's house, and the friend walked him over to the painting, and he said, this is like one of the most unattractive things I'd ever seen, but the friend paid $1 million for it, and he loved it. That is subjective.
Yeah.
Tony was like, he couldn't believe the guy liked it and paid for it. This guy loved it and paid $1 million. That's the kind of clients you're going to have.
So that's great, because that kind of brings me on to one of the questions I had about, again, coming back to mindset. Who's going to pay for that? So I'm sure that's a big question you get from a lot of your clients. Yeah, but who's going to pay for that? So who is?
The same thing. So the question is, how do you address that?
Yeah, how do you address that belief?
So that again is mindset. These books that I'm telling you to read will really confront a lot of the beliefs you have around money. And I'm going to repeat the books: The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, Working with the Law by Raymond Hollywell, and Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This thought of who's going to pay for that? Who pays for all the mansions around the world? Who pays for the cars, the Maseratis and the Rolls Royces and the higher end cars that you see driving around the street in the city that you live in? Who's paying for those? The higher end restaurants that are booked solid, that have been around for years, who's paying to eat there? These jewelry shops that have been around for decades, the high end shops and boutiques, who's paying for that? Jim Rohn. Do you know Jim Rohn?
I'm aware of Jim Rohn, but I'm not a great one for research and detail and other people's stuff, but I am aware of the name.
Yeah, good. No problem. Jim Rohn is one of the godfathers of the transformation industry. So he died like old white. He lived to be like, I want to say 80 something, white hair, all right? But he's a godfather of the transformation industry. And hold on. There was a couple things that he said. He was a big proponent of Herbalife, which is a network.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, big proponent of Herbalife. You don't seem like you're too pleased with that company. But he didn't build his fortune with Herbalife. He got into Herbalife later. He was a speaker. He was a mentor, right? Coaching, this kind of a thing. And he was saying that when he first got with the company and he started to build this downline, and people would come to him and say, look at this check I got. The company only pays this much. Look at it. They would complain, look at this. This is all the company pays. And he was like, no, that's what they pay you. Aren't there other people in this company getting paid $10,000, $20,000 a month? No, that's what they pay you, because that's what you think. That's what you're doing. And so when it comes to this, what you said, what was it again? Like,
who's going to pay?
Yeah, who's going to pay for that? If you think that nobody's going to pay you for that, then nobody's going to pay you for that. When you get into a place of not only hungering for that, but expecting to receive that, which is all mindset. It's all mindset. Okay? Read these books that I'm telling you to read. Come to the event in London, August 8th.
Yep.
So we can look at whatever the invisible story is.
And I'm gonna put up the books with the link for the event as well. So I'll put the comment with all the books.
And remember that it's a lifestyle practice.
Yeah. And it's great because Hoobs has asked another question which matches which might be, time has flown. It's like 7:20, so 8:20 your time. So for those of you who don't know, Naima, yes, is clearly American, but is living in Paris. So she's an hour ahead of us at the moment.
You said clearly American? How is it clear?
Your accent, my darling.
Ah, okay.
And your emphaticness.
It's so not British, huh?
Your emphatic directness, which I love. But it's great because Hoob's question kind of matches what's going to be my last one, which is I was going to ask you about how we can help people change their mindset. So like giving the people who are listening live here on Facebook and Hoobs something really lovely to take away with them to take it forward. And so my question was around, how can you help people start forming a mindset about that? Maybe, is it true that when you start earning more, so when you change your mindset and start earning more, then you can start giving more? So those people who you believe can't afford it, or the charities you want to give to. So that was going to be my question. And Hoobs kind of has matched that with, how do you feel about principles like pay it forward can this only be achieved once we're earning more than enough?
Can it be achieved with only earning more than enough?
Can this only be achieved once we're earning more than enough? I think, for me, answering Hoob's question, if you can get in the mindset of there is more than enough, then start paying it forward now, and then the stuff will come to you.
I agree.
Where are you on that? Yeah.
I agree. I love that you just brought this up, because it literally speaks to a conversation I had today with a rich woman, financially rich, happy with her life. She's like 60 something, I think. She's a New York Times best-selling author. And I was having a conversation with her about being a part of a video summit that I'm leading later this fall. And I was in tears, not full blown, but right, listening to this woman talk, because she started a foundation specifically for women in poverty who they have jobs, but their income qualifies them as a poverty level. She lives in America, California. Her foundation pays these women specifically when they need to take off work, because women who are in poverty who have jobs, typically if they don't work, they don't get paid, okay? Which means if they get sick, there's a high possibility they won't be able to pay their rent, okay? And she talked about how in 2005, she got breast cancer. And so she had that experience. And then what happened was her housekeeper, who has been with her for 25 years now, she said her housekeeper's sister got cancer. And the housekeeper just wanted to go have a couple days to be with her sister in the hospital, who was undergoing chemotherapy and was having, you know, harsh reactions to it, etc. And she realized that the woman wanted to not work, but she recognized that she didn't work, she didn't get paid. And she chose out of her heart, because she had more than enough money, that she was still going to pay her even though she didn't work.
Yeah.
And she said she realized from that experience, plus having her own experience with being a survivor of chemotherapy, that there are many women who don't have the privilege, financial privilege that she has, to take off of work, to be sick, and don't have to worry about your rent not being paid. And she's able to start this foundation, build this foundation, support this foundation without any concern of her own financial reality, because she's created a thriving business. She's a rich woman, and now she has more than enough. That is what you can do when you create a financial reality for yourself of more than enough. You can truly help other people without worrying about, well, am I going to make money doing this? Right? You know, can I afford to do this? When you really get to a place of learning how to exchange your value for money, and you really are in a place of more than enough, you can really think to yourself. And I did a Facebook Live about this today, which is why it is perfect that you're asking this. What would you do if money wasn't an issue? You can only really live like that when your financial reality is good. So that's what I have to say about that is, you can help in like volunteering your time and all that. Even if you're poor, you can do that, right? You can go volunteer at a place for the needy. But
you can pay it forward in that way already.
But what can you really transform deeply and over the long term? Typically, it takes money. It takes creating something, like she created a foundation. It takes creating a system, a group, a something that's going to require financial resources. And you cannot do that from a place of truly giving, from a place of overflow, if you're worried about money.
Yeah. Wow, powerful stuff. And actually that really links in what you just said there. I was at an event this afternoon, which was about health and wellness in small to medium enterprises. And a lot of that was about, but specifically around low income. So health and wellness in low income areas. And there was a statistic that they said that in the UK at the moment, 1 in 8 people who are in work, so who are employed, are living in poverty.
Okay, wow, see?
So 1 in 8 people who are in work are living in poverty.
See? So that means, you know, every 8 people that you see walking down the 8 working people right, that you see walking down the street, one of them is in poverty. So you take 8 times 10, right? Out of those 80, 8 times that's 80. Out of those 80 people, 8 of them are in poverty. And if they
Yeah.
don't work, they don't get paid. So if you get sick, you get the flu, and you're with the flu for 5 days, 5 days of no pay, you are going to be freaking out. It's almost like you can't even afford to get sick. So, right?
So we want to go and earn more than enough money so we can help those people.
Exactly. Exactly. Or help people in India, if that's your thing. I've had women say to me, they wanted to charge more, but their drama was, well, what about the starving children in India? Well, darling, if you're making $10,000 a month, don't you think that you probably can send $1,000 a month to the children in India?
Mm-hmm.
Even better, you can travel to India and start homes there that educate children, that feed, that prepare them to be self-sustaining versus just sending money there. You can create a whole new system in India that takes children who are in poverty, who have been part of the poor caste system, and totally socialize them to become self-sustaining adults. So you know how much big of an impact you would have doing that?
Yeah.
And you would be able to do that, making your $10, $20, $30, $50,000 a month. You take that, fly you and your team to India, right? If that's your real concern, right? Or if you're just using that to keep yourself away from money and power. That's another sneaky.
There we go. And you can start now. The coach that I worked with at the beginning of the year, she was like, if you are in that, I don't have much at the moment mindset, you can still help other people. You can still pay it forward. If you think, oh, I can't afford marketing or a logo, then use Fiverr, where people are in Sri Lanka or the Philippines, and they're amazing at what they do. Use that, help them, help yourself, start charging more, and then you can help them on a bigger scale.
You're helping them tremendously too, because $10 an hour in the Philippines is a big deal. It's like the equivalent of $30 or $40 an hour.
Yeah.
So
cool. And I love that. I love that it's come back to people, because this is like basically I think most people who are here, I'm not quite sure who's there on Facebook, but Hoobs, you're clearly an artist. So it's all about people.
Yeah.
And we are people too. And yeah. And it's a big thing I say to a lot of my clients, if you're not taking care of you, then how can you take care of other people?
Yeah.
So I know we're close to time, and I'm excited. I mean, for me, having met you just 3 weeks ago, I can't believe it was only 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And when you were talking about your event, I thought it was going to be this big room, big sales, like, the stuff that you get all the time. Here's a room, we'll fill it for not much money. I mean, your tickets are like 50 quid. Is that right? You're charging 50 quid? So nothing.
Maximum 30 people.
Yeah.
I want it to be like this because I really want us to be able to individualize as much as possible and have small groups, and really, because I want everyone who comes to this, and remember, this is for women only, I want every woman who comes to this to leave transformed. Like, my goal is to have you experience an internal reality of more than enough while you're there, and to really get that in a deep way, to really discover this limiting thing, even deeper than you think you currently know it. Like, I want you to leave here like, oh my God. So you're going to see testimonials when you go to morethanenoughmoneytour.com. That's the website to buy tickets, morethanenoughmoneytour.com. You're going to see testimonials from all of these women who I've worked with all over the world, from the United States, the UK, Germany, Canada, all over, who were struggling with money, and I helped them to get it together, and now they're having $10,000 clients, $15,000 clients. They're feeling more free, more true, more clear of all the heaviness and the drama of money. So I want you to have this transformation as much as we can within 4 hours in London. And then if it makes sense, because this is an introductory event, if it makes sense for you to go forward and you really find a lot of value there and you see the value of going further, you will have an opportunity to do that. But for now, let's start with morethanenoughmoneytour.com.
And you are going to be doing exercises, and it's going to be interactive, and people will be coming away with stuff. I've just seen on Facebook, we did have, I hope you're still there, Lisa. So Lisa has asked a question, so hopefully we can squeeze this in, which is and I think it's a great one to finish on actually, so thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
What is the number one block you see in clients, so around money, and how do you help them overcome it?
Yeah, the number one, it might be two. So the first thing that came to mind was there's this ache in between letting go of the story and embracing a new story. So, which is the power thing, is what I find with a lot of my clients, where there's stories around staying poor and staying small. And then the story, or not even the story, the reality that you have to step into to create the money is so big and expansive. There's a level of grieving that happens. There's a level of releasing the fear of what people will think about you. Like all that goes into play. So I see that if I had to say there was one, I would say that's it right there. Like the letting go of the lower nature stuff. What are people going to think? How am I going to do that? Who do I think I am? Like there's a series, and then that space in between the lowness and then stepping into the truth of who you are, which we're all already more than enough. Never mind this business stuff, right?
Yeah.
We're expanded. We're put on this earth as growing, expansive beings who want more life. It's a natural thing to crave more life and to express that more life in the form of giving, doing, being, having. And so that ache in between getting rid of the lower nature stuff that we've all been raised up in, or many of us, and really embracing the largeness, the expansiveness. I see that being the biggest block.
So the gap.
The gap. Yeah.
So what is one thing? Because I know obviously how you help them overcome it is clearly a whole process.
Yeah.
But what would be to create the bridge over the gap? How do you help them do that, your clients?
So first we have to look at what the stories are. Like even my client I was speaking with today, when she was like, there's no more 2,500 pound clients. Where are they? Like, who said that? Like, where did that come from? Oh my God, there's more than enough. There's plenty. So I typically start at what their stories are. What is good drama, darling? And this is what we're going to do at the event. So if you're at home and you're not going to come to the event, I say start with looking at what are your stories or excuses or whatever you want to call them. What's your drama? I can't afford it. People are going to think I'm greedy. Who's going to pay for that? Well, because a lot of it is, I'm telling you, there's so much about power in this. And you want to ask yourself, who would I be if I was making fill in the blank with whatever your number is? Who would I be? Would I be more generous? Would I be worried about, I used to be afraid that people would take money from me if I was in possession of large amounts of it. So you have to really get intimate with yourself around, who would I be? Why do I want this money exactly? What would I spend this money on if I was making 10,000 pounds a month? Who do I have to be to make this kind of money? Who am I not being right now? Who am I afraid to be? Another fear I'm telling you, I've been working on this for years. I used to be worried about making more money than my mother. And I started to see myself holding back when I was around my mother, when I wanted to talk about my business, but I was afraid of looking too successful in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that getting in the way. And because I'd made the decision that I was going to grow big and I wasn't going to let anything get in the way, I had to have a conversation with my mother about jealousy between us. I had to have a conversation with her about my fear of how our relationship was going to change when I financially eclipsed her.
Right.
So I have to have private conversations with my clients about their thing, because we all have our thing. And this is what I mean by that background stuff. You don't even know what it is. Like you think you know what it is. Like I thought many of my clients, you think you know what it is. Then when we start peeling back the layers, you realize, oh, you're afraid that your mother isn't going to love you. Oh, you're afraid that your friends are going to think that you're better than them, and you're afraid because you think you're going to be alone. Oh, you're worried that no man will ever marry you because you're making more money than him. Like what, right? So we got to dig down up into that. And so you want to ask yourself these questions at home if you know you're not coming to London. And if you are in or near London, short flight or train, get your behind in the room August 8th, morethanenoughmoneytour.com.
Yay, and I'll put the link up to it in this comments section, and I will put the link. If you can send me the books as well, so I can put them in for everyone as well. Yay! Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Hoobs. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks to the others who joined us live. Yeah, and thank you, Naima, for being my first guest on what I hope is going to become a regular Hot Topic Thursday event. So, yay, I am hugely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And you and I are going to catch up later this month anyway, because you're coming over to London, aren't you?
I'm
Socially.
looking forward to it. Yeah, either this month or next month.
Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you guys for being here. So we are going to call it a day. Take care. Thank you so much for all your questions. And we shall see you anon.
Thank you,
Adios.
Bye.
Bye. Hoobs says thanks.
You're welcome, Hoobs. Thank you for your engagement. I love it.
Yay. See you later.